Good evening. Today I'll be talking to you about the process of getting your private pilot license. This right here is your Cessna 172. It is your most common flight training aircraft. It is a tri-gear, single engine land plane. That is what your license will say on the back of it. It's the single engine land. That is the type of license you'll be receiving. A lot of people want to know, when can you start taking your lessons. You can start taking them at any age. The only stipulation there is that you cannot solo the airplane until you're 16 years of age. You can get your license at 17 years, but you have to be able to read, speak, and write, and understand English. Also, to solo an airplane, you have to get an exam by a designated examiner. It's like a physical. They check your heart, eyes, check you for color blindness. They check your blood sugar and all that good stuff to make sure you're physically well to fly an aircraft. The flight requirements for getting your license: you have to have a minimum of 40 hours of flight time. In those 40 hours, you need 20 hours of instruction from a CFI, that's Certified Flight Instructor. During those 20 hours, you will learn to take off the plane, land, do steep turns, S-turns, turns around a point. You learn how to recover from a stall, emergency landings, and in those 40 hours as well, you have 10 hours of solo flight. During those 10 hours, you will take among yourself to practice all the things that your instructor has been teaching you as far as stall recovery, turns around a point, and flying by dead reckoning, points on a map, trying to pick them out while you're in the air. You have to have 3 hours of cross-country flight time. This consists of flights farther than 50 miles from your starting point. So, for example, it'd be like flying from Goldsboro to New Bern. That's 52 nautical miles. So the total trip would be 100 nautical miles, is what the FAR say. You also have to have a long solo cross-country flight with a total distance of 150 nautical miles with 3 segments. The one I did was from Goldsboro to Myrtle Beach to Kinston, back to Goldsboro. That's my 3 segments, and it totaled way more than 150 miles. And that concluded my 3 hours cross country. You also have to have 3 hours of night flight. In those 3 hours of night flight, you have to have a solo cross country with a leg of 50 nautical miles. So again, we went to New Bern at night, had 1 landing. And you also have to have 10 takeoffs and 10 landings at night with an instructor. Your ground training, you must receive 2 hours of ground training, enough that your instructor feels comfortable to let you go take the written exam. During your ground training, you will receive training on federal aviation regulations, which is all your laws and regulations of flying an airplane, what you can and can't do while you're flying. Also, they will teach you how to use charts to navigate, so you can get from point to point without GPS, because you can't rely on electronics these days. So you always have to have a backup. Radio communication, you need to be able to talk to ATC, control towers, and other people to alert them when you're coming in for landings, and your proper pronunciation of letters and numbers. Like your tail sign will be 8331 Golf. Use a phonetic alphabet with all your letters. He would also teach you in ground training that the safe operation of aircraft is meaning what speed you fly at, in certain areas, the maximum speeds, what RPMs you taxi at, and and different safe operating procedures among the airplane. He also will teach you how to do a weight and balance, which is where you take your weight times your arm and do the weight and balance of the airplane to make sure it's in your CG, which is center of gravity. If it's too aft CG, which is too far behind your CG, it can be tail heavy and cause the airplane not to perform the way it's designed to perform. And too far forward CG, it could cause it to be nose heavy and not perform the way you'd like it to. And there's a few other things that they'll teach you in ground school. You must pass a written exam. It's 60 multiple choice questions. The topics can go from anywhere from weather to flight characteristics of the airplane, different airspaces. There's 6 different classes of airspace: class A, B, C, D, E, and G. There's also navigation questions for different flight instruments like your VOR, GPS, stuff like that. After you're good and comfortable, you have a practical exam in the airplane from a flight examiner. This is where you fly with an examiner and he tests you on all the things that you've been practicing with your instructor, like the stall, recovery, emergency procedure. He'll pull the power on the airplane and make sure that you can land it without power. He puts you in a blindfold and puts it in an uneasy or a non-standard maneuver, and it messes with your inner ear. It causes you to rely on your eyes to recover the airplane. And he also tells you to do the turns and procedures that you did in your flight training, like S turns around a point, and stall recovery again.